Hey, welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of Vee Mindful's Real Relationships. Y'all, today we're still talking to the mature crowd. The mature crowd, if you're over 40, no, 45, even 50, but we're talking to the mature crowd, talking about dating, love, and relationships and starting over. And y'all, today I have a special guest. Her name is Soni, and she's a love and relationship coach. And Soni, if you don't mind to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Vee, for having me on your show. My name is Soni Pelty, and I am a love and relationship coach. And I have a very simple mission in life. It's to help women embody love in every aspect of their life. And my own journey from a tumultuous 22-year marriage to finding true love where we are both committed.
Now, okay, so you were married 22 years. Did y'all have children?
I have two kids from that marriage.
What made you finally decide to get a divorce? Because 22 years, a lot of times, let's be honest, 20, when people say it's like a badge of honor, people, I feel like they hold a badge of honor. Well, we were married, I've been married 50 years. And now, be it that is something to congratulate. I'm not saying it's not. My parents have been married 51 years. So
Right.
I understand that. But it's not necessarily a badge of honor either, where people feel like they have to stay married. So 22 years, a lot of people will say, well, dang it, I've hung in this long, I might as well keep going. Right. So, what was the trigger for you to just say, forget these 22 years and let me look forward?
Firstly, I agree 100% with you. It's not a badge of honor to be
Mhm.
married for 20, 30, 40 years.
Mm.
It can be loving, and that's wonderful. But there are times where people just stick on in toxic marriages for the sake of it. The reason why I stayed as long as I did was I don't think I loved myself enough.
Mm.
It was an issue of self-worth. And if somebody would have told me that when I
Mhm.
was in that marriage, I would have laughed, because
Mm.
to me, I was loving myself. I was eating organic food. I was working out. I was doing spa
Mhm.
days, manicure and pedicures, vacations with girlfriend, me time, all of that, right? Where I am today and what I know now,
Mhm.
that is just a small piece of self love. That's really
Okay.
not self love.
Now, are you and your ex-husband, are you guys on friendly terms? Was it like a friendly divorce?
No. Kids don't have much of a relationship with him either.
Mm. Mm.
I feel that all of us are in a much better place
Mhm.
than we would have been had I stuck on to that marriage.
So then you decided to get divorced, and you then what was the first thing that you did when you got divorced? What was the first priority for you? What was your first priority?
My marriage was going downhill for several years, and I was actually very excited of getting out and getting to meet different people and start dating. And I had never dated. I was 42 when I got divorced,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and I had never dated. My first marriage was an arranged marriage, and I was
Oh,
19 when I
wow.
got married. So having no clue of what the dating world
Oh,
looks
no
like.
experience. Oh gosh. Okay,
And
so yeah.
and that
Ooh.
was and this was 2014. So you throw in online dating and all these apps and swiping and
Mhm.
I'm like, what is this?
Mhm. Well, that
So
had to be hard. What how did you how did you learn how to date then? For someone who's never dated, how did you
Mhm.
learn how to date at 42 years old?
I think it was just trial and error. See, honestly, I didn't have any good relationship models growing up. And
Mhm.
from my experience with working with women now for several years, very few of us have good relationship role models growing up. Like my parents have
Mhm.
been married now for 53 years,
Mhm.
yet it's not a healthy relationship. Like it's like a love-hate relationship. They love each other, they fight with each other. There's a lot in that marriage. Not having good relationship role models, I was
Mhm.
just dating trial and error. So what was I doing? Who was Sony? Was chasing, people pleasing, trying to
Mm,
fit in, trying to be, the
mhm.
man in a relationship. So it was just trial and error. I was just doing what I knew.
I definitely understand that of doing, because I talk a lot about the masculine and feminine
Yes.
imbalance. And I think
Mhm.
it's and everybody who was commenting on my video about when I was talking about black women, Miss Soni is not black. If you're watching YouTube, and she just said that she also had her mask, she was in her masculine energy.
Mhm.
So y'all can stop blowing up my comment section and saying it's a black women's thing. No, it's not.
No,
I've coached women of different nationalities, and that masculine imbalance is not just limited to one culture. Absolutely not.
no, it's just like I say that feminism did a lot of wonderful things for us
Mhm,
women, but it really hurt us in the
mm,
arena of relationships because, like you said, like you teach and talk about the balance of masculine and feminine energies. And I feel that
mhm.
that's so important.
Wait, okay, well, let me ask you a question because, because this was I was on somebody's YouTube live last night. But I want your opinion because this is something that you said you dealt with. Now, when you were getting out here dating, because you are in a happy marriage, and we're going to get to that. Like, how did you go from never an arranged, unhappy marriage, and never have dated ever, into now being in a successful, happy marriage? But before you got to that marriage, and you were dealing with your imbalance, did you show up in the relationship already being feminine or not? And maybe not, let's say you or any other woman that who struggles with the imbalance, right? Is
Mhm.
it the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart? Like, is it showing up in the relationship as being already feminine? Does that man, the man himself, the other half of the
Mhm.
other half of the relationship,
Mhm.
does he play a role at all in helping the woman maintain or become feminine, or is it all on her?
Okay, great question.
Mhm,
In my opinion,
mhm,
we have trained men to be a certain way. Like, and you
mhm,
know this, that all of us, men and women, have both masculine and feminine energies, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
as women, we have been out of touch with our feminine, and so have men. So we show up in the world with our masculine, and that's how we show up in our relationships. Men have been told to just put their feminine essence in the closet.
mhm,
And they do have it. It's not like they don't have it, right? So
mhm,
just because they have been trained that way, that women show up front and center, um, being controlling, taking
mhm.
charge, like I say, bringing your CEO to the date,
Oh,
right?
I call it bring your dick. Girl, you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
You it
Your
right
book,
here.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, that's what I call it. But
Right.
go ahead.
So
Mhm.
so so I don't know that a man would know how to bring that feminine essence.
Let's say that woman, let's say when you
Mhm.
got with your man, okay? Or and you could even compare to your current husband to your former husband, right?
Right.
Let's just say you, Sony, you eventually learned what it's like to be in your feminine energy, what it means to be influential, what it means to be motivating. Because I think some men think being feminine is wearing red high heels and pink lipstick. And I'm like, that ain't got a damn thing
No.
to do. But oh, exactly. But a lot of men think that though, like wear your
Right, right,
lingerie to
right.
bed.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not being that's not nothing.
No,
Oh, cook and clean. It's like that has nothing to do with
no,
feminine energy, but you can't tell some of these men anything. But have learned how to honor yourself. Like I know how to be, I know how to honor my nurturing side. My
right.
mother's Chinese. My parents, they are, and I'm praise God, my parents are. Today's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, mommy.
Happy
You
birthday
know,
to
my thank you. And my parents are in a loving, healthy, happy relationship. So I have had, thank God, and a great example of a relationship all
I
my
love
life.
that.
Did they fight? Yes, they fought. But my parents, they love each other. Like they genuinely love each other. And my dad plays a predominant
Mhm.
masculine role, and my mother plays the predominant feminine role. So I know what nurturing looks like, girl. Nobody has to tell me that.
Right.
But if I get in a relationship and that man doesn't make me feel safe, that
Mhm.
man makes me put my walls up because he's not creating an environment to where I can be emotional or I can have feelings. I can communicate my feelings. We can have emotional intimacy. I'm going to clam up and I am no longer going to be able to be that nurturing, giving queen because you have now forced me into protective mode. You have forced me to protect my feelings. And so that's when I feel like a man has to create that environment or you're going to get a different version of the woman. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Yes,
Uh,
that makes sense. Absolutely. So that ties in more to the piece of like vulnerability as
mhm,
well, right? So yes,
mhm,
definitely. And us being in our feminine, it doesn't work with every man because he
yep,
brings his own relationship patterns into the relationship, right? His own
mhm.
upbringing, his own traumas, his own family history, all of that, right? So it's not to say that if as women we show up in our feminine essence, it's going to be welcomed. We're not
Mhm.
going, not every man is going to make us feel safe, but the right man,
The right man.
the right man, he will
Yeah,
love,
'cause
he would love you for that.
I don't think a lot of men really understand that. Like, and that's a gap in our relationship. But I fully agree with what you just said. The
Mhm.
right man and the right environment.
Right,
If you allow a woman to be vulnerable, like in order to be vulnerable, she has to trust you that she trusts you with her feelings, that
absolutely.
you're going to honor her feelings, you're going to
Right,
respect them. And if you don't, you're not going to get that soft, loving, caring, nurturing woman, but
right,
the right man will allow her to be. So, thank
right.
you. So I'm assuming when you were out here dating. Now, let me ask first. When you were out here dating, did you go on multiple dates at once, or did you focus on one man at a time?
Okay, so when I started dating first, like right off the
Mhm.
bat,
After that.
I was focusing on one man at a time.
Ooh, girl,
Okay.
that took a long time.
Okay. And I did that for about, I would say like 2 years or so, like
Okay.
from one dating relationship to the other, a couple
Hmm.
of months with one person, a couple of months there, sometimes just 1 or 2 dates here and there. And then I just got like frustrated and I
Hmm.
knew I was meant to be in a deep loving relationship and I knew I
Hmm.
wanted to get married again. I had that clarity.
Okay.
So at that time, I'm like, if I just keep showing up the way I am showing up now, things are not changing for me. It's the same outcome, different man. You're too good for me, or I like you, but I'm not ready for more, blah, blah, blah. Like, those standard,
BS.
yes. So that's when I literally went onto Google and I looked up relationship coaches. And that started my journey of self growth, learning about relationships,
Hmm.
learning about like finding myself, who I truly am. Because honestly, I realized and recognized that my identity never belonged to me. It
Hmm.
belonged to my country, it belonged to the Indian culture, it belonged to my parents. And I was
Hmm.
just 19 when I got married. So then it belonged to my husband and his family,
Mm.
and then my kids and my friends and everybody else but me.
Mhm.
Through that process of healing, personal growth, development, learning about relationships, things started shifting for me. And that's when I started dating multiple men at the same
Yep.
time.
Yes. I would absolutely
So
tell
it was
anybody to
a
date
process.
multiple. Mhm.
Yes, it was a process of getting there, but definitely, it changed everything. It changed everything, and in the process, it was like more building my relationship with myself, honoring myself, and having more boundaries, and just everything that goes with self love, and just like really building myself up.
A
Yeah.
lot of people have an issue. I fully support date multiple. Like, I've been on a few hundred dates when I was single, and And you know, and I see I have to say this every time I say that because
Mhm.
when they be like, well, damn, I didn't sleep with 200 damn men. God damn, I went on
Right.
these dates, you know, and you know, and most of them were first dates, but
Yes.
a lot of women are very hesitant in
Mhm,
going on dates with multiple men.
mhm.
It's like you're not cheating. You're not in a relationship. Who are you
Right,
cheating? You
right.
know, so what advice would you give someone? Because a lot of women feel like that. What advice would you give someone to do that instead of one man at a time?
Right, because men are test driving. Men are doing that. They're test driving women all the time. And if there is no exclusivity conversation, if you're not exclusive,
Mm,
if he has not asked you to be his girlfriend, then you are not in a relationship. So there is
nope.
no cheating. And also you don't have to have sex with every person you go on a
No.
date. And from my perspective, I don't even advise women to have sex early on in a
Mm,
relationship because
mhm.
as women we get attached very fast. 95% or more of women can like get emotionally connected to a man after sleeping. And then the dynamics of the relationship just completely change.
Unless you're an avoidant woman, such as myself.
Right. And there are a few women who can be okay with it and just rock it, right? And that's fine. To those women, go for it, right?
Yeah, but but I'm with you though, because you know, and I have like even I have a male client and he himself even knows that, you know what, I don't want to get intimate. Because not for emotional reasons, but you know, because sometimes people deal with codependency. Some people are people pleasers. I have a female client as well. I love the fact that she honors her boundaries. She does have an anxious attachment style and
Mhm.
she knows that, you know what, I do not want to get physically intimate with anybody for that reason. You
Right.
got to know your boundaries. And yes, please start dating multiple people. Nobody says sleep with. And I said this on a video before. I didn't say open your coochie and let somebody in. Okay. All I said was you gotta maximize your time. Do I let these men know that I'm going on multiple dates with people? No. You don't just
No,
volunteer that information. You're not
no,
cheating on anybody. It's
no.
nobody's business what you do.
And
What would you say?
I mean, 100% I agree with you. You don't have to bring that up on your own. And if he asks you, are you? Yeah. At that time, honestly, yes, because
Yeah,
are
if
we
he
in a
asks.
relationship? No.
Exactly. If he asks, you know, then you know you the way you know you word it tactfully, but absolutely. But I would never tell anyone to volunteer that information. Just like I tell people, don't
Right,
overshare. I think
right.
we women we overshare a lot, and it's
Yes,
like
we do.
you know you didn't he didn't ask you all that.
And we open up like we are an open book on date one. And that's why it's key to like I talk about I really, really advise women to like go on really short first date. Build that curiosity. Leave
Mhm,
the date on a high note,
mhm,
right? He doesn't, you are this beautifully wrapped present that he
mhm.
gets to open over time.
I agree. I love the short date ideas, and I love like coffee, tea dates. You
Coffee,
don't have
lunch,
yes.
45 minutes, and that's it. And then
Mhm,
if it's a bad date, you don't you have to stick around for an hour or more. And
mhm,
if it's a good date and
mhm.
you really like what you're seeing, how you're feeling, then you leave on a high note that makes him come back for you. Yeah, just keep that mystery.
So you were doing this, and then how did you meet your husband? Your now husband.
Yes. So I met him on a dating app on Bumble.
Okay. Oh, okay, you met him on Bumble.
I
Okay.
did. I did. I was on every single dating site. I was
You
out
were?
there dating, having fun, getting to know myself. Did I were all the dates great? Hell no. Like I
No.
dated like two to 300. I went on two to three hundred first dates before I met my husband.
See? Okay, I done met my damn twin. See, people People come for me when I say, like, okay, my gosh, I done met my twin sister. Now, it's not now you see what I'm saying? Like, people be like, "Wait, how the hell did she go on so many dates?" I'm like, "It wasn't that daggone hard, to go on that many dates." So you went on 2 to 300 dates. Oh my goodness. Now, and most of these were first dates, right? First dates.
Right. First, some second, some third. With some guys, it was a couple of weeks. It just depends. Like I was dating multiple men, so in 1 week, sometimes I would go out for a date with two different guys.
And it's not unheard of. A lot of women have gone on, we're just honest with it. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily honest about their dating experience. And now, Sony, did you sleep with 200, 300 men?
Hell
Hell
no.
no. Thank you. So it's highly possible for you to go on that many dates and keep the coochie closed. Yes, it is.
Yes, it
Oh,
is.
okay. So
When we know that that's not what makes men fall in love with us, we will not open our coochie to everyone.
I'm like, my gosh. Okay, I done met my soul sister here, and thank you, thank you. Okay, so you went on. Now you met him on Bumble. Now,
Uh-huh.
what was it about him? Was it immediate that you said, "Oh, there's a spark here on the first date," or you a couple of dates in?
Yeah, so by the time I met him, I had stopped dating to feel the sparks because I had a particular type that I would go for, that I would fall
Okay.
for. I would look for chemistry, the sparks, the push and pull,
Mm-hmm.
a certain height, a certain persona,
Mm-hmm.
physical appearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I'm like, if because basically I was dating to open my heart, to connect with different people, to get to know myself. And I say, like, dating is free therapy. You'll get
Mm-hmm.
triggered. And I was working with a coach while I was dating. This is before I got into coaching, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um so it was when you get triggered, you get to heal those triggers. By the time I met him, I was no longer dating for sparks, right? I was just
Okay.
curiosity. Let's see who he is. Let's see what he has to offer,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Just
Mm-hmm.
explore, experiment. That was my goal. And yes, in the process, I knew I would find my man, but I met him just to get to know him. Let's see what you got.
Now, okay, now you say that though, would you okay, when you were dating for sparks, now, when you met your husband before he became your husband, would you have considered him to be your type? The type that you typically were going
No,
for? No.
no.
Okay.
Even when I saw his picture on Bumble, the old me wouldn't have swiped right on him. And I tell
Ain't
him
that
that. I'm
interesting?
very honest with him. I
No,
tell him that. I said, I
I
wouldn't have.
appreciate that. I
Right. I
appreciate that.
just wouldn't have.
People need to hear that because
Yeah.
it's like quit dating and that's why in those dates, a girl I went out with people who were I mean, if I put on heels, he was shorter than me. I'm only 5'4",
Right.
and so I went out with men who were 5'4", 5'5". Like, I went out with all nationalities. I didn't discriminate, so I think you
Same. Same.
cannot, yeah, you cannot just date your type because you don't know what love, what it looks like. How is it supposed to be packaged? You just know how
Mhm,
it's supposed to feel, you
mhm.
know. So, okay, you went on. Was there sparks or not even necessarily? I don't want to use the word sparks because you said one day for sparks. But what did you like about him on the first date? What was it about him?
Yeah, I think he was just very attentive. And the first thing
Mm,
he did his homework. So he looked up my name
mhm,
and he recognized it was of an Indian origin and
mhm.
what it meant. So he came and told me, "Oh, so you are Soni Kudi." So Soni Kudi in Hindi means beautiful woman. And that just
Oh,
had me smiling. So
oh,
he just kind of, I tell him, like, you worked your way through it to me, huh?
wow.
He was
Okay.
very
Mm,
attentive, very present. listening. And like I said, I had stopped dating with an agenda. So I was just there having a good time. We were just talking, sharing our likes and dislikes. And like I said, it was lunch date. An hour I would get for lunch, and I had him drive close to where I worked so I didn't have to drive too far.
Mhm.
And so by the time we ate and we exchanged some conversations and talked a little bit, it was time.
Mm.
I'm like, "Yeah,
Okay.
like, it really gotta go." He walked me to my car, he asked me for my number, and that very evening, he planned date number 2, or what you call official first date, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
after
Mhm.
meeting for the first time, and he planned, um, a cooking experience.
Mm.
And that's what made me feel like how present he was, because he was paying attention to what I was sharing with him, what I like to do, and what I'm passionate about. So he was just very different than the other men I had
Oh.
dated. And he said that he connects with people through experiences. And I loved that. Kind of like dinner and drinks, that gets old after a while. How else can we connect? And every date was something different. Like, we would obviously eat and drink, but
Mhm.
it was an experience, like doing something together. And that's how I feel I connect with people as well. Like, you
Yes.
see different aspects of the same person when you are doing out there doing things, not just sitting and having dinner.
I agree. I fully agree. When you're out here dating, do something on the date. Yes, I did all kinds of dates. I mean, out of those couple hundred dates, I mean, I did all kinds of things. And there's a lot of men that I went out with. I don't even remember who they were. Like, because we didn't do anything but maybe sit down and eat and, have a drink of water because I don't drink alcohol. But,
Yes.
we didn't do anything. So they weren't memorable. And neither was I'm sure. But the dates that I actually did something, I can remember, like,
Mhm.
because it does invoke in you an experience, a
Right,
feeling,
right,
right? And
right,
men do fall in love more so by doing, not just by being, but the being is the feminine,
right.
So, okay, so y'all did this, and how long did you guys date before he proposed?
3 months into our, so we had not had any exclusivity conversations.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
I was chatting with other men. Since, because he was booking my time so quickly, and I had other, like, I had a full life, right? I had my 2 kids, I had other my friends and other things that I was doing, right? So since I didn't have enough time to date other guys at that point, like in like month 2, so at 3-month mark, he asked me to be his girlfriend. At that time, I told him I didn't want to be any man's girlfriend.
Oh.
And I had it clear in my head. First of all, I was already, I think, what, 45 maybe by the time we met,
Mhm.
46.
Okay.
And I had clarity that I wanted to get married. And I know the progression is you date, you become a girlfriend, and then you become a wife. Well, I had this clarity that I wanted to be married. I didn't want to be any man's girlfriend. So I shared that with him. I said, I'm not looking to be anyone's girlfriend. So he's like, what
Mhm.
does long-term commitment look for you?
Mm.
I told him it's marriage, and he said he was going through some legal battles with his ex-wife, and
Mhm.
he asked me if, like, he's like, this is not the right time for me, but are you willing to be patient
Mhm. Mhm.
and wait? I said, yeah, I can do that.
Mhm.
Um, I met him in October 2017. February, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said no. And then it was 2019 June when he proposed to me.
Wait, in those 2 years or a year plus, were you dating other people still?
No, not at that point, I wasn't, but
Okay.
I was still, like, I would say I was dating the world, as in I was not. Had he just dragged that along and not
Mhm.
proposed, then we would have had that conversation then. But
Mhm.
I was just, it's having a full life, doing other things and not waiting on the man that you're dating to, call you, text you, take you out. Like, do the things for yourself that you want the man to do for you. Right. So I had a full life and I was not laser focused on him. When we met, we had a good time. And over time, like I said, things were progressing. His actions were matching his intentions.
I think there's a couple of tidbits to take from that. Is one, you really felt like he was intentional. He really was intentional with you, and he was invested into you. So, and that's why you continue to date him. He made the date personal. Your first date, he made it personal because he.
Mhm.
Wait, is he of Indian, or what is his origin?
No, he is white.
White? Okay. So even better because he's not of the origin and he took the
Mhm.
time to look up something that was personal to you. So that, I mean, that could have even been stalker vibe, or that could have been, but you
Yeah,
that could have been
yeah,
one
yeah.
but it was a nice gesture for sure. You know what? I love the fact that you put yourself out there. You said you were on all the dating apps?
Yes, pretty much all of them.
Which one was your favorite? I know you met him on Bumble, but if don't consider that one. I mean, not don't consider the app, but don't consider the fact that you met your boo on a particular app. But out of
Mhm.
all the dating apps that you were on, which one was your, well, let's say least favorite that you didn't
I
like?
would say, like, probably Tinder was my least favorite.
Oh, damn, your ass was on Tinder.
Yes, my ass was on Tinder, I was on POF, I was on Hinge, I
Oh
was on
my
Back, I was on OkCupid. I'm telling you, girl, I
God.
was
You
dating. I was out there.
You said I didn't expect you to say. Now that is one dating app, I will be honest. I did not try because my sons had told me, that it was the booty call app. Was that your experience that
Well,
people are looking for booty?
yes, but, I have to say this though, there are people who are for the booty call on every app,
Mhm.
right? Yes, Tinder is primarily famous for that,
So sad.
or that's the rep it has gotten
I
itself,
know. Mhm. I
right?
know.
But I met men on other apps who are just
Looking for
looking for
bouquet.
fun.
Girl, that's the nature of a man. Not that all men are looking for sex. That is not what I'm
Right,
saying,
right.
but they like physical touch, physical intimacy,
Mhm.
and where we are might be looking for a deeper connection. So it's just a man versus woman. So I mean, I completely get it. Would you recommend people today to if they're looking for love, would you recommend them to try the dating apps?
100%. I feel
I
like
agree.
the life that we live today, it's hard to meet men
Yep.
organically,
Mhm.
and I feel like more so after the pandemic. I wouldn't have met my husband, had I not been on
On the dating app.
dating apps, because
Mhm.
his life, where he lived, the kind of work he did, we would have never
Mhm.
crossed paths.
Wouldn't And that's why I say, like, I see like, I've seen some videos where people are like, forget the dating apps, leaving them alone. But like, I posted a video maybe a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about the 200 dates that I went on, right? And the thing is, if you're trying to meet people, I'm sorry, you're going to have to use the dating app. Now, and there's success stories on there. You are one. And we're
Mhm.
mature. It's not like, girl, you ain't 22.
Right,
We are grown women,
right.
and we're both menopausal women, okay?
Yes.
And it worked for you. So yes, you can't get away from the dating app. It's the number one way to meet people today. We're creatures of habit, and you cannot sit here and tell me, as we are 50-year-old women, you cannot sit here and tell me that you don't have you go to the same place, go to the same gym, the same place to get coffee. You do the same thing every day. And the only people you're going to meet is the same people at the same places that you're at.
I feel like, also, like, now I am in my 50s. In my 40s, I would still go out to bars and stuff. I don't anymore. That's not what I like to do as much as I
Okay.
used to. So
Mhm.
it just kind of limits. We change, we evolve, our priorities change. So I feel that being online on dating apps, we meet a lot of different people. And just changing our perspectives and mindset about the dating apps
Mhm.
is going to change the experience as well. right? Like anything that we have a set mindset about, oh my God, these dating apps are useless. They're only like no quality men on these apps, and I'm just wasting my time, and they're all douchebags and blah, blah, blah. When we go with that energy on the apps,
Mhm.
it's like, I just got to do it because I have no other option. Who we meet online are going to be men with a low effort, low energy, right?
Yep.
Versus when we go with this curiosity, this experimenting
Mhm.
energy, saying, "Ooh, let me see who I connect with today. Like, let me see who I find
Mhm.
and what I
Mhm.
experience," right? So that's very different than that dull blah energy. So I feel like I said, all dating apps can have good and bad men on there. It's just our perspective. When we change our energy, when we elevate, when we go out just to experiment and be curious,
Mhm.
we have different experiences.
If you're on the dating app, not you, but these women who are, or these men who say everybody on a dating app is trash, then
Right.
wouldn't that include you? Ain't your ass on the dating app? Wouldn't that include you too?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, so no, there are good people
There are
that are
good.
looking, yes, that are looking for love. I have had great success on the
Mhm.
dating apps. I've met a lot of great men on the
Yes.
dating apps. If someone were to come to you and ask you for your top, maybe top, we'll just do top
Mhm.
2 tips when it comes to using the dating apps outside of the mindset. But
Mhm.
how can someone be successful in using a dating app in your experience, especially someone who's mature? We're not talking 24, 25. We're talking 45, 50, 55, 60.
Right, right. I feel like knowing what we desire, and I help women come up with their own mission statement. Like,
Okay.
companies have mission statements, right?
Yes, they
Come
do.
up with
Mhm.
your own mission statement. What who you are, what you're desiring in a relationship, and just
Mhm.
have that on your profile.
Mhm.
And then date from that place,
Okay.
right? Because there are so many profiles out there.
Mhm.
What is something that will make your profile stand out?
Mhm. That's
Having
true.
that personal mission statement, I feel, helps a lot. It makes us stand out. Obviously, like our pictures are play a huge, and also not texting and staying too long on the apps and having the man ask you out. So don't get caught in that texting trap. Even if the conversation is feeling very juicy and very engaging, do not
Do
get
not get stuck there.
tempted into texting. Just
Mm.
let him ask one question, two questions maybe. And that's what I did with my husband. I'm like, I would love to answer that question when I get to see you, because so many times we get caught just texting and the man never asks us out on a date.
Well, I think I'm gonna tell you this. I think it depends. I think it depends because here's the thing. If you're having a conversation with somebody,
Mhm.
because I literally just went through this with one of my clients. You're having a conversation and it's like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm well.
Mhm.
How's because it's a typical conversation on a dating app.
Right.
How's your weekend? Stuff like that. Oh, I see you like to fish, so where do you like to go fish or something like that? And then
Mhm.
they answer the question. Um, my client will literally go right back and say, "So, can I get your phone number and are you free Saturday night?" I'm like, "Dude, you're looking crazy because that woman is thinking that you would ask anybody out. You
Mhm.
gotta come across of having some discernment, like, wow, okay, I think I found something in you,
Mhm.
so I would like to take you out. Not okay, she responded. Can I now ask her out for Saturday night? And it's like, no, you can't. You don't know anything about her. And she's going to get the feeling that you just out here looking to take any daggone body out. Like you
Mhm.
gotta have a little bit of back and forth, but I agree. Don't get stuck having a
Right.
conversation and tell your whole life story. Let
Right.
the conversation flow a
Right.
little bit,
Right.
and
Right.
be
Right.
open-minded. Don't
Right.
don't just make we make so many judgments on the dating apps. We're swiping so damn fast,
Right.
and it's not, I'm like, it's not fair. You be
Yes.
curious. Okay, be a
Yes.
little open-minded.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And give every man a chance. Date outside the box.
Yes.
Not
People
just
who are
your
not
type.
your type.
Yeah.
Yes. We're not your type. My mama, because my mother's Chinese, and she was so happy I went out with an Asian man. He wasn't Chinese, he was Korean. I think I went out maybe with a couple of Korean men. I live in the DC area. We have a very large Korean population here,
Okay.
and a very large. And I met a couple of Korean men who, date not just date black women, but like, oh, you're an attractive woman. I would like to
Mhm.
take you out. I'm like, okay, let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
My mom she was so happy, girl. My mother was like, "What? You're on a date with her? Send us a picture." And he and
Oh.
I took a picture, and I sent it to my parents, and they got a kick out of it. But yes, date outside. I'm gonna go out on dates. If you ask me out in a polite way,
Mhm.
in a respectful way, and I say,
Right.
women, can y'all smile sometimes? Like, god damn.
Yes, yes. I teach women how to flirt, and when flirting has a bad rep, but your flirting is like you're smiling, making eye contact. And yes, you have to watch out for people who could be harmful, but then we have
Mhm.
the discernment for that, right?
Yes.
When to have an open, inviting energy and when to be closed and protected.
And don't put yourself in certain situations. My dad has been saying that since I was
Right.
a little girl. Keep the dates public. Don't
Yes.
go to his house. Don't let him come to your house.
Right.
You don't
Right.
know this man. You don't
Right.
know what kind of drama he has going on in his
Mhm.
house.
Mhm. Yeah.
And men don't go to women's houses. You don't know she got a crazy ex-lover. It's like, keep the dates public. Get to invest into getting to know
Right.
somebody,
Right.
right? Before we start going to each other's houses and stuff. I don't
Absolutely.
play that,
Yes.
so well, I do appreciate this conversation. And I want to give you an opportunity, Sony, to tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, absolutely. I'm on Instagram at Limitless Love with Sony. I have a book as well on
Okay.
Amazon. It's Dating from Self Love. And I have a podcast, Raw and Real with Soni Pelty. And my website is limitlesslovewithsony.com.
I will post everything, y'all, in the links in the description below. But thank you so much for your time today. And we do wish you and your new husband the second chance at love, a lifetime of love and happiness with the two of you. We'll have to come back and talk about, like, how to have a successful second marriage, because we know that, second marriages get a bad rap, but they are absolutely 100% possible to be better and happier and healthier because of the lessons that we learn.
Yes.
But so thank you very much for joining. And everyone, thank you for tuning in for yet another week episode of Be Mindful Relationships. Y'all, till next week, y'all take care.